Hello and welcome to module number 0 on matrices. Now, this module is number 0. This is an introduction module and it is on the terminology of matrices. Now, you may think that terminology is incredibly boring, which it is, but it is also incredibly simple, and also it's very important to learn because terminology that is used in the questions on exams is sometimes complicated. If you haven't learnt the terminology, but it's very simple if you have, and it's always better if you have learnt it. Okay, first of all, probably the most easiest thing about this is the definition of a matrix. Okay. Now, I suggest you copy this down. Okay. Definition. A matrix is a rectangular array of numbers in rows and columns. This is very important, this rows and columns things. But we'll get to that later. Now, okay, so that's just a very simple definition of what you're about to do. Now, don't get scared, but when you first see a matrix, it may look very scary and slightly complicated, but actually it isn't. The only reason it looks complicated and scary is because it's very different to what you usually do in math. But if you practice it and practice it and practice it, just like usual math, you'll learn it well enough. Matrices also dead easy and simple and very important because they have a lot of different uses once you've learned them, so they're very useful to learn. Okay, so we've got the definition down. That was that over there, and this is a simple example of a matrix. As I say, it's a rectangular array of numbers in rows, which is the horizontal, and columns, which are vertical. But we'll get to that just now. Right now we have to concentrate on elements. This little piece there. Elements are these things inside. Very simple. 1 is an element, 2 is an element, 3 is an element, 4 is an element. These are the singular separate components that make up the matrix. These are the numbers inside. Or if you have a matrix like this, they are the letters. But they can be anything, really. But those are the elements. So on a test, if someone says state all the elements in this matrix, you go, okay, A, B, C, D. Ta-da! And you have the question right. Now if you hadn't seen this module and you have no idea what an element is, you wouldn't be able to answer that very simple question for some marks. That's why it's important to learn, I think. Orders. Next thing we have to go on to. Slightly more difficult, well, actually a lot more difficult. Orders. Okay, let's do this. That's a 10, not 1, 0. Good. So the order of this matrix would be 2 by 4. The order of this matrix is 2 by 2, and the order of this matrix is 2 by 2. Orders are ways of classifying. It's what mathematicians use to classify different matrices. As you can see, this matrix is different to this one. Now an order is given by the formula rows by columns. It's very simple. You simply take a matrix, any matrix. Let's make this a little bit different. Right, matrix like that, sorry. Went off it for a bit. And it says in the question, state the order. Okay, and you know the order is rows by columns. And you know the rows are the horizontal and the column is the vertical. And you count the number of rows. There's 1 row, 2 row, 3 row, 4 row, and there's 1 column. So what would the order be? 4 by 1. Ta-da! Very simple. Let's do one more example. Good. What would this one be? How many columns, how many rows? You have 1 row, 1 horizontal, and 4 vertical. Very simple. Okay, now that's really simple. Now we move on to simple classifications of matrices. When I say simple matrices, I mean simple kinds, as in special matrices, but are simple. We're not going to do inverse matrices or identity matrices or anything complicated now. We'll wait until we get to multiplication. But anyway, here we go. So if you have a... Oh yeah, we've already looked at this. Ah, cool. Okay, here's a special matrix. Well, these two are special matrices. They have a special name, these two. They are called square matrices. And you have a square matrix when... Well, this is just for extra classification in case you get in a question, or if you're doing the IB and you get a portfolio, it's always good to use the correct terminology. So you go, okay, when the number of rows equals the number of columns, it's known as a square matrix. Ta-da! So a square matrix could be this. That's A 3 by 3. They equal, so it has to be square. Now, there's another type of very simple matrix, which we could look at here. This is known as a vector, but it has a special name. It's known as a column vector. Wait, where can I write that? Yeah, let's just do this. This is called a column vector. Why? You ask? Because when the columns equals 1, it's a column vector. And hence, when the number of rows equals 1, it would be a row vector. Very good. Good. Rows equals 1, column equals 1. Very good. That would be a row vector. Sorry, I'm getting a bit messy here. And that's it, really. That's just very simple terminology that I'm going to be using later. Maybe I should just do one more simple matrix with you. This is called a zero matrix. And, strangely enough, a zero matrix is when the matrix has only zeros in it. So it denotes the number 0. It can be any matrix of any order, but if it has all zeros in it, it's called a zero matrix. Very good. Awesome, and you've learned the first thing you need to know about matrix, or matrices, is the terminology. If you have any questions, comment or email or anything you want, I don't care. If you want some extra questions, which I really don't think you need because this is very simple, then ask. Anyway, that's it for the terminology. See you in the next module.